Hi, I'm Shirley Chancellor with Lighthouse Christian Church, and welcome back to another segment of At the Table with Shirley. Today's topic is Stay in Your Lane. I've really been taught a lesson by the Lord many times about that, and I try now to be really conscious of staying in my lane, whether it's work, family, outreaches, ministries, whatever. I like to volunteer and help in the community, but I ask, what would you like me to do and where would you like me to be? And I try very hard to stay there and do that without crossing a line. And that's what we need to do in every situation. Our children, when they're little, we're involved in every aspect of their day, not just their life, but every aspect of their day. But when they grow up and have families of their own, then we have to really be aware of keeping our place and staying in our lane, because they're adults and they have to make their own decisions, and it keeps your relationship much better too, doesn't it? There are a lot of examples in the Bible about the importance of this spiritually. One good one is Matthew 17:15 through 18, where some of Jesus' disciples had overstepped their authority or overstepped their power to try to do something they weren't ready to do yet. And a man brought his son to Jesus, and he said, "Have mercy on my son, because he has seizures and suffers terribly. He often falls into the fire and into the water. I brought him to your disciples, but they couldn't heal him." Jesus replied to his disciples, "You unbelieving and perverse generation, how long will I be with you? How long must I put up with you? Bring him here to me." So he was a little frustrated with his disciples. Then Jesus rebuked the demon, and it came out of him. And from that moment on, the boy was healed. Now later, the disciples asked him why they couldn't do it. And he told them, this type of demon only comes out through prayer and fasting. But the inexperienced disciples could have caused more harm than good. They could have turned people away from Jesus by saying, "Oh, they're fakes. They can't do what they say they can do." So we have to be very, very conscious of following Holy Spirit's lead and stay in that lane. And in Luke 9:54 through 55, Jesus had sent messengers to a Samaritan village, to prepare a way for him. He was coming later. But they were mocking Jesus and saying they didn't want him. And the scriptures say, when the disciples, Jacob and John, realized what was happening, they returned to Jesus and said, "Lord, if you wanted to, you could command fire to fall down from heaven, just as Elijah did, and destroy all these wicked people." And Jesus rebuked them sharply, saying, "Don't you realize what spews out of your hearts when you say that? The Son of Man did not come to destroy life, but to bring life to the earth." They were suggesting doing something they neither had the power or authority to do, and it would have caused tremendous harm. Can you imagine how unwelcomed God would be and Jesus would be if they destroyed a whole community? And in Proverbs 16:9, within your heart, you can make plans for your future, but the Lord chooses the steps you take to get there. So, yes, we can have thoughts and ideas, but we always need to run by all decisions, run them by the Lord. Pray about it. See if that's the door that he's really wanting to open for you, so that we'll stay on the path he chose for us, not our own path. And John 21:22, Jesus had just told Peter what would happen to him when he was old. He let him know ahead of time, that he would be carried wherever he needed to go. He would no longer have the freedom to go about as he did at that time. So Peter looked around and saw one of the other disciples and asked Jesus, "What about him?" And Jesus replied, "If I decide to let him live until I return, what concern is that of yours? You must still keep on following me." In other words, don't compare yourself to others. It's none of your business what God is doing in another person's life. And in this case, he was not happy about what he was told about the end of his life, and he was just wanting to know if the other disciple was going to suffer the same fate. And in Psalms 131:1, Lord, my heart is meek before you. I don't consider myself better than others. I'm content to not pursue matters that are over my head, such as your complex mysteries and wonders that I'm not yet ready to understand. This was David, and he was telling the Lord, I'm okay with whatever or wherever you want to put me. I'm okay. I understand that I'm not ready to know everything yet. I'm not ready to move out on my own yet, that I need to be where you tell me to be and doing what you tell me to do. And in Proverbs, the last one, Proverbs 4:26, carefully consider the path for your feet, and all your ways will be established. Carefully consider the path. Is it a path you're trying to get on, or the one the Lord has you on? We're all headed for the same destination, right? Paradise, heaven. We're all headed for that same destination, but we are not all on the same path. But isn't it wonderful to know that all of our paths lead to Jesus? They all lead to Jesus. We just need to stay on our path and ask and pray and know, and you'll have peace in your heart if you're in the right direction, you're going the right direction, you're making the right decisions. Holy Spirit will let you know plainly if you'll take the time to make sure that you're staying in your lane. So something to ponder this week, and consider all the situations that you're involved in right now. And am I staying in my lane, or am I possibly making things a little harder for the Lord in what he's wanting to do by trying to step out before I'm ready? Anyway, have a wonderful rest of your week. And as always, thank you so much for joining me. And I'll see you next week. Bye.